Hey guys, it's Kevin here for Girl Meets World, Season 2, Episode 2, Girl Meets the Real World. And I have to say, another great episode. There were some things that I didn't like about this episode, and I definitely feel this wasn't as good as the premiere, but I still, which it's gonna be hard to live up to that premiere. Honestly, the premiere was one of the best, it was a great premiere. I loved it, and this episode definitely was not as good, but I still really liked this episode. There were some things I thought was a little bit silly about this episode that I do want to talk about, but I still thought this was a really good episode for a lot of reasons, and it had another really great message that I definitely really enjoyed. So let's just get into this episode. First of all, I love the beginning. Honestly, the beginning of this episode might be one of the greatest beginnings Girl Meets World has done, because again, it's meta. It's all meta. This whole season is just meta, and I love it, because we see Riley and Maya. They're talking about, and Riley wants to talk about anything else besides the kiss that happened with Lucas, and they basically make fun of the fact that there's nothing else going on in their lives besides that kiss with Lucas, and they keep wanting to move on about it. And I love the way they were making fun of how the storylines go. For example, there's a part where Augie comes in and he talks about Ava, and Maya's like, "Oh, we see her every now and again," and it's true because we do see Ava every now and again. And I like that the show is poking fun at itself. And while it's not a bad show, I always love when a show does that because it just makes it funnier. And I like that it's very self-aware. That's something that's good about this show that they didn't have in season 1. I'm definitely enjoying about season 2 already. And if they keep continuing things like this, I think it's definitely very funny. And the way that Maya and Riley were talking as well kind of seemed like they were talking to the audience and less to themselves, which I thought was really funny. And I love that Riley just didn't really want to talk about her and Lucas, because as we saw in the premiere, they are very awkward right now. They don't really know where they stand, but Maya wants details. You know, Maya's that friend that just wants to hear about it and wants all the juicy details. And I thought it was really funny the way that Maya was trying to get Riley to tell her what was going on between her and Lucas. It honestly was really funny, and I thought there was some really funny stuff there. So basically, they are then in class, and Maya ends up talking about her and Riley, and basically ends up telling the entire class about her and Lucas, and Cory's freaking out, which I thought was really funny to see. So this gets the entire school to wonder, what are Riley and Lucas? Are they friends? Are they boyfriend and girlfriend? They basically decide that they're going to try to be boyfriend and girlfriend. And I was interested in seeing how this arrangement was going to work, but we see right away that it really does not work. It's very reminiscent of when Cory and Topanga first had those. It very much reminded me of season 2 in that episode where Cory and Topanga made out, and where they were supposed to make out and they didn't, and they decided to start dating, but then they realized that it wasn't for them. It's very awkward between these two. They can't really talk about much. It just feels too awkward. My complaint with this, though, is that I just don't feel these two have as good chemistry, and I think really what Michael Jacobs is showing is that these two are not going to get together pretty much ever, because they don't really have very good chemistry. And I think they definitely have better chemistry as friends, and we definitely see it in this episode. I thought that was really well done. There's this really awkward scene where they're just staring at each other. They're not even talking, and we don't really know why they're not talking, but they're not talking to each other. And it's really funny. I definitely enjoyed seeing that. And Lucas just wants to be the boyfriend. You know, he even feels awkward. He wants her to walk, he keeps saying, should I walk you home? Should I do this? Should I do that? I thought that was really funny overall. Definitely something I've really enjoyed this episode. I thought was really funny was seeing them go back and forth about that. So basically, they go home to Cory and Topanga. Cory's obviously freaking out, and I love that Riley just keeps talking about how this is her first boyfriend and things like that. I thought that was really cute overall that she was doing that. But basically, they decide that they are just going to remain friends. And we do get one of probably the funniest scene from Riley, I have to say, maybe in this entire show. Her rant about the Knicks. I don't know if Rowan Blanchard, improv. To me, that felt extremely ad-libbed. I feel like Rowan Blanchard just, ad-libbed that, because it had nothing to do with the episode. They're just talking, and she starts ranting about the Knicks, and it was hilarious, and I loved it. Rowan Blanchard in that scene, if you keep doing scenes like that, that's going to be hilarious. And that's one of the reasons why I love this show, is that Rowan Blanchard is a very good actress. She's very funny, and she can handle scenes like that very well. She was very funny in that scene. I thought that was really good overall. And and I thought that was really good, definitely. So basically, they decide to remain friends because they feel like they don't need to date, and I like that they told everyone they are still friends and they're going to stay friends. And it really does show that just because you like someone, just because it really does show that boys and girls can be friends. And I will admit, I have friends that are guys, I have friends that are girls. And are there girls that maybe I will think of dating further down the line? Yeah, but then there are girls that I just want to be friends with that I don't want to date at any point. And I like that the show really did touch upon that because it is something that, again, people can relate to. Because there is that question of can guys and girls really be friends? And a lot of people do question that a lot. And nowadays, a lot of people say no, they can't be. They have to be together. But this episode showed that, yeah, they can be friends. I think this awkward tension between them, I think it's always going to be there. Maybe one day they will get together, but for right now, they're just too young. They're too confused, and they're just in that stage right now where they're just not really ready to get together. It's a lot like Cory and Topanga. If you remember, they didn't get together until the third season. I'm kind of wondering if Girl Meets World can do that, but I guess we'll have to see. The best part of this episode, though, is Topanga's subplot with Augie's new best friend, Dewey, aka Dewey. I thought this was probably one of the funniest things we've seen Topanga do on this show because it was different from Ava. It was a very different dynamic. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Ava's character. I think she's very funny, and at points is very sympathetic. You kind of feel bad for her at points because of what her family life is like, and you see why she is the way she is. But I will admit, seeing a change with Ava was definitely very welcome. I like seeing this a lot because Augie has this new friend, Dewey. His real name is Dewey, though. But because of the age he is, he can't pronounce his name, so he calls himself Dewey. And Cory does not have the heart to, Cory doesn't have the heart to tell him that his real name is Dewey. But Topanga's like, you know what, you have to be called by your real name. You have to accept it. And I thought it was really funny overall. Just seeing her to admit that his name is Dewey, I thought was really good. And I love that Cory was just going along with it the whole time. That's totally something Cory would do, because let's admit it, Cory is a man-child, okay? He is a man-child in the sense that he's a child at heart, and he'll always have that kid in him. And it just seemed like something Cory would do, and I thought that was really funny. And just seeing these two bounce off one another was definitely very good, especially since Cory's not usually involved in Topanga's plots. I thought it worked a lot better here, because, don't get me wrong, I love Topanga kicking Ava out of the house was hilarious to watch, but seeing Cory in this, I think added something to it, because it showed how Cory and Topanga are as parents, which I thought was really great. I mean, we've seen them as parents before, but it also showed how they are handling someone else's kid, which was really funny to watch. While Cory, is just trying to have fun with his kid, and even says that he can call him Coy because he can't say the R, which, again, that's something that little kids do. Some kids have speech impediments, like, some people can't say R's, some people can't say S's. That's just how little kids are, and I thought that was really good because, again, that appeals to little kids, and that's something I think parents can relate to. That's something I love about the show, is that they do have things that I think parents can relate to. That's something where if a parent were to watch it, they'd probably be able to relate to that because they had a kid like that. They had their kid invited some friend over, and their friend didn't really know how to speak properly, and I thought it was really great. And I love the ending when Topanga's just sitting him down. He's like, and I really like the scene as well where Topanga's talking to, I'm gonna call him Dewey because he wanted to be called Dewey, but basically Dewey, she tells him how, when she was younger, she really didn't know what her name meant, what Topanga meant. She had no idea why her parents named her that. And then she realized what it meant. She tells him how great of a name his is. And I thought that was a really great scene, definitely. Daniel Fishel did some very great acting in that scene, definitely. I thought she's always great, but that scene I thought was really good. And then the ending when she's sitting him down, having a talk with him, trying to get him to say that his name is Dewey, that was hilarious. I love the way the episode ended. So I love that plot. By far the height of the episode was that, and I really hope we get more of that. I want to see more of this character because he's very funny. He is sort of a one-joke character, but he has so much to it, and it was so funny to watch, just seeing their reactions, that's really what made it so good. I feel like it would not have been as funny if it had not been Cory and Topanga. It would not have been as funny, which is great. And I already love they're trying to bring more of the Cory and Topanga dynamic back into the show, because while we had in Season 1, it did feel like I don't think we had enough of it. So I like that we have it back in Season 2, and it feels a lot more fresh, definitely. The worst part of this episode, though, I do have to say, was Maya and Farkle. Okay, I've said before, I really like these two together. I would legitimately want them together, but this was stupid, honestly. Farkle, ever since he had this whole thing with Maya, in episode, when Maya kissed his hand in the finale, he's had feelings for her. Okay, I think that's really funny. We could really do something good there. This whole thing with the wedding ring, I thought was really dumb, because basically, he finds this wedding ring that his father always throws at his mother, and he wants to propose to Maya, but Maya only cares about the ring, and that I thought was really funny. Problem is, they keep reusing that same joke throughout the episode, and it just starts to get kind of tiresome because they literally get married. Like, they literally throw a wedding into school, and I'm just like, okay, that's a bit much. Like, that's not really that funny. I thought it was good overall, but Maya honestly felt a little bit weird in this episode. Was it me, or did she feel a little bit off? Honestly, she kind of did. She felt a lot more, I don't want to say annoying, but there were scenes where Maya was legitimately annoying. I'm like, I don't care that you care so much about Riley and Lucas. I felt like her character was probably the weakest point of the episode. I don't know if it was so much that the writing for her was off, but just this was probably my least favorite Maya episode, I have to say. I loved the beginning when they were talking about how interesting Maya's life is. I thought that was really funny. But this whole thing with Farkle, I just didn't really like it. If they want to get these two together, great. I would love to see these two together, and I think they legitimately have some very good chemistry, which honestly they do. There are scenes where I watch them, they have very good chemistry. But I do kind of feel like they should not have done something like this. They could have done it in a much better way than they handled it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't very funny. I didn't find it that funny. It could have been a lot funnier. Uh, I like the scene where Maya was like in love with the ring and she's like proposed to me without the ring, and I thought that was kind of funny. But then the other scenes where like they got married, I just didn't think it really worked. I really didn't think it worked as a subplot. As a one scene maybe, but I just didn't really feel like it worked. Maybe if they had had a talk about it. There seemed like there was a scene missing there. Honestly, it felt like an off subplot. It just felt like a third plot that they shoehorned in there because they had to give Maya some Farkle something to do, so that's why they put it in there. And I honestly would want to see them delve deeper into that storyline. I really would. I like that they are... Something I do like about Season 2 is that they are trying to get a lot more consistent with storyline. It seems like they're definitely trying to go in a much more serial format. And they do still have, like, the weekly plots, but it definitely seems like they're trying to be a lot more serial with the show. For example, Topanga at the bakery, that seems like that's going to be a big thing this season. Riley and Luke seems like it's going to be a really big thing. And now Maya and Farkle. These three arcs definitely seem they're going to be the main arcs of the season. And that's really cool, because that's something that I don't think Season 1 did. And that's something that Boy Meets World did as well. Season 2 is when they really started to get seasonal plots, which was really good. And basically was a serial show, which is great. Which I think is really good if Girl Meets World decides to do that, because that's something I think they'd be really good at. So overall, guys, this episode, I thought it was really good. Besides the Maya and Farkle plot, I still really enjoyed it. There were some awkward scenes between Riley and Lucas. There were some scenes in this episode that did feel off, but I love the meta that they're throwing in this episode. This might have been Rowan Blanchard's funniest episode yet. I mean, honestly, she is improving so much. A lot of people said that she was a really bad actress in Season 1. This season, she's really, like, she's killing it, honestly. Sabrina Carpenter is great, but she is killing it, honestly. If I'm seeing, probably the biggest change of the season is not only the meta, but also her acting. It's getting better and better as it goes on, and I mean, she's getting older, so that's probably why it gets better, because with a kid, it's just, it gets better with age, really. That's one of the things that it is that it's, when you get older, the older you get, the better actor you become, and I think really Rowan Blanchard, she's going to become a great actress. I really see that happening for her, and I really see her having a lot of potential to show. Definitely something I saw with her character. I thought that the Topanga and Dewey subplot was great. And yeah, so overall, I'm really enjoying the season. I thought this was another really solid, I thought this was another really good episode, and I just really want them to focus. If they want to do Maya and Farkle, here's what they need to do. They need to make it a much more deeper storyline, and make it less of just him wanting to propose to her. I understand it's kind of silly, but honestly, I would like to see a storyline about it. If they can have a good storyline with Riley and Lucas like they did here, do with Maya and Farkle. I honestly want to see what happens there, because I kind of feel like maybe they will have something further down the line. They kind of remind me a little bit of, I mean, Farkle's supposed to be like Stuart Mingus, sort of, but in a way, they kind of remind me of Sam and Freddie from iCarly, how, you know, Sam wanted nothing to do with Freddie, but then they liked each other. I feel like that's gonna be, Farkle and Maya. Definitely, I feel like that's how it's going to be. But let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Overall, guys, I thought this was a good episode. Not as good as the premiere. Definitely not as good as the premiere, but I still really did enjoy the episode. Some things did feel a little bit off and kind of weird, but I loved Riley's rant about the Knicks. That was great. And I love the overall message that just because you're friends with, just because you know, you're friends with a guy doesn't, and you're friends with, or you're friends with a girl doesn't mean that you two have to date. You can be friends, and that's okay. And I like seeing that in this episode. So that's my review. Hope you guys enjoy it. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for probably the third episode. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.